Oh, that's what I was gonna talk about. Kurt Cobain. Okay, before I get there, I want to talk about dragon fruit. I just had some dragon fruit. Was it the first time? I'm not gonna lie and say yes. Simply because it's possible that I had some dragon fruit before recently of the time that I'm about to talk about. Still, the time that I just recently had this dragon fruit, it was absolutely phenomenal. Even though everyone around me was just kind of like, ew, what the heck is this? It has no flavor. Oh my goodness. And then we actually had two of them. We had the pink one, like the reddish pink one, and then we had like a yellow one, and the yellow one was really, really sweet, whilst the red one was a little bit less sweet. Still, I loved it. Oh my goodness. I love when flavors are so subtle, yet they explode on my freaking taste buds because I can taste it. I can appreciate the taste and the subtle explosion of flavors that other people perceive to be like nothing at all. Simply just because I adore and I love natural flavors. I love the way nature curates the experience of fruits, and the sweetness and the textures, and just I love it. It does so many beautiful things to my mouth, and it's so orgasmic, and it truly is. I love it. I love it so much. I love nature, and I love being one with nature. Okay, now that I said that, I want to talk about Kurt Cobain. Listen, listen, okay, rewind. I watched Montage of Heck on, I think it was on Max. It's this like literal montage of Heck. All of these clips and man, these pictures and these videos and these journal entries and just all of these different things of Nirvana and Kurt Cobain smashed into just one entire experience, and it's so beautiful. It's so dark though. I feel like if you are sensitive and you are an empath, it's really gonna take a toll on you. Although it doesn't have to, right? Like, you can receive from it the most high impressions, and just leave everything that doesn't serve, you know what I mean? Just because it's a lot, especially if you love Kurt Cobain and you love Nirvana and you just are a freaking super crazy out of this world fan, and you are a lover. Just period. Like, if a lover is something that you would define yourself as, these sort of like biographical remakes and telling of the story of the deceased, I feel like can really put you inside of a black hole, you know, just to like say it in the most realistic way. I was in Target and we were in line, and I looked to the side, I saw this Kurt Cobain magazine. I think it was Life. I think it was one of those like magazines or whatever. And I was like, oh my goodness. I literally don't buy those magazines anymore. The last time I bought one of the magazines that are just kind of stationed near the checkout, it was David Bowie. I bought it and I made this freaking amazing, I cut the magazine all up because that's what I do. Magazines don't survive with me. Not for long, you know. They may survive maybe like a week at most, or two, unless I'm collecting a lot of magazines and it's going to be like a mass genocide of magazines. Then that's something different because I cut them all up and I make these humongous collages all over the wall, and it makes me so happy because it just feels like I'm taking my brain and just like splattering it. everywhere so that I can see what the heck is going on in here. So the fact of the matter is, I didn't buy this, okay? I have picked up several magazines while waiting for the freaking line at checkout, and just put them right back because just wasn't gonna buy them. This one made me really, really happy though, because I love Kurt Cobain for so many reasons. I feel like he genuinely was a genius, and you know, I don't just mean like a musical genius. I just mean a genius in their most naked form. Like when you strip the genius of everything that it could be and everything that it could do and become, and all of the art, you know, all of the art that the genius creates, you strip it. Like just take all the clothes off of the genius and you just have this pure creative mind. That's what I think about whenever I reminisce on Kurt Cobain and what he provided for life and music and culture and art and just everything. I felt like he was a naked genius, you know. And I think sometimes people like to put clothing on him that looks like music and that looks like whatever, like freaking being a revolutionary and all this other stuff, you know, like all these categories and stuff. And it's like maybe yeah, he did wear those clothes at some point, like maybe yeah, he did. Now I feel like it's been so long that the genius is naked, you know. It's just so evident and pure how much of an impact that he had, that I feel like wasn't only about music or arts or even culture. I feel like he created an entire doorway that allowed for the people who also want to be naked geniuses to walk through and be okay in their nudity. I'm explaining this in such a like abstract extraordinary way, you know. Some people are gonna listen to this and be like, what the heck is she talking about? Everything is going over my head. And some people are gonna be like, yes, I know exactly what you mean. And those people, you know, I appreciate both of you, both of those types of people, because it's what makes it real, the duality of it all. The fact that some people are gonna reminisce and look at Kurt Cobain's legacy and be like, he was an absolute like destroyer of worlds, and you know, the impact that he made on society may not have even been healthy, and it may not have been progressive. Even then, within that, I feel like you can perceive some flaws in that perspective, simply because I feel like Nirvana changed the nature of processing, of how we digest our own feelings and emotions. And it was no longer something that you had to just sit in and be okay with. Now you could scream it. Now you could yell it. Now you could be super extra, like infinitely odd and okay with being who you are, even if the mainstream media just didn't understand you and put all these labels on you. I think that when we talk about addiction, it's kind of hard to not talk about addiction and drug use, especially when you're talking about Kurt Cobain. Like, he's the ultimate freaking rock star, and even though he didn't want to be, maybe in the end, I feel like I love the poetic nature of his fame, and it being something that he was able to completely and totally and fully realize and be honest about that he didn't like, in that fame ultimately is a monster that you create. It is, and I feel like that's just the truth. Some people may not agree with me because they don't like to see things true to their nature, still, I feel like fame is a monster that you create. You create the way that fame behaves. You are the birth giver of that experience in your reality. And that's something that I learned from watching Kurt Cobain and observing and studying his interviews and the documentaries and just like all of it. I realized that in reality, you are the one that like prepares your fame, swallows it whole, chews it up, digests it, and just poops it back out. You know what I mean? And whatever comes out on the other end is ultimately something that you prepared in the first place. And I think that's just like the way that I just explained that. Listen. It makes sense though. That's what I'm trying to say. It makes sense to me, at least. Also, journaling. He is a master manifester. He legitimately could write his thoughts on a freaking piece of paper and alter and just shift and reconstruct the freaking walls and dimensions of his own reality and make it into whatever he wanted, just because he wrote it down. And he added some instruments, maybe because he wanted to, and he used his voice in whatever way that felt good. And then, if it wasn't a good feeling, it was just a feeling, that he just felt. And he felt to his core, and then he felt more until he was able to rip his core out and show it to the world. And I'm getting really, really gory and super dark right now. It's okay. Because if you love Nirvana, and you're gonna understand me in the language that I'm speaking. I just think that in my head, he definitely turned the rock star lifestyle into a romance, and just all of the decisions that he made and all of the ones that he didn't make, and just who he was and also who he wasn't, and just the power of journaling. I am a journalist, not in the traditional sense necessarily. I journal. I have my own stack of journals that I just write all of my freaking thoughts. And recently I just started writing songs. And I think that Kurt Cobain helped me realize the power of physically writing your music on paper rather than just typing it up on your phone. Simply because I'm a 21st century baby, so they immediately program us to no longer express our thoughts in a tangible, physical, practical manner. Our thoughts immediately go into this non-tangible, impractical, other world that is a cell phone or just technology, period, a computer screen. You were literally taught how to type and write an essay, and that becomes the expected way for you to express your thoughts, because you have to turn in these assignments. You have to present your thoughts in a very intangible manner. And so writing down songs sounds so illogical until I was watching the montage of Heck, and I saw all of the journals that Kurt Cobain had, and how the journals, they weren't even just about the songs that he was writing, more that the journals themselves were songs. The entire entity of the journal was a song, whether or not he was writing poems and rhymes. It didn't matter, just the fact that he had put his thoughts into this book and allowed them to just kind of sing out loud through a pen in the ink. And I think that's so awesome. And I love it, and I think he's a genius and a master manifester, and nobody can tell me different, okay? And that's it.